I'm serving it raw. I'm serving it raw. I'm serving it raw.
I had that mixture going on. I wasn't really attributing it to like this culture of hip hop yet. But when NWA and Public Enemy came on the scene, I'm like, yo, this shit hits different. Like there's an emotion. Like I never had heard an emotion in hip hop till that point, like where you felt anger or you felt scared or you felt like something, because they were like putting that emotion through the music. You felt, activism, whatever, all this stuff. And I always tell people I feel NWA and Public Enemy are the same thing from different sides of the spectrum.
It is. It definitely is. Yeah.
In my opinion. And I mean, I spoke to Chuck D, who's, that's an icon to me, and he kind of agreed to it as well. So, and so now these groups come in, and I'm like, hold up, this is something different, and it's filling that same void that it's counterculture music. It's, so I'm like, hold up a second, that other stuff, the punk rock and the metal and all that stuff, that's not really my music. That's not like my generation's music. That's not really, it didn't really speak to me personally. But this is speaking to me, and this is my generation. So now, hold up, this is my generation's music. I'm actually in the infancy of something. Like I can see it from its beginnings, and even more in Miami's beginnings. Okay. So that's when I really was like, nah, this is it, man. Like I like as a fan, not even me thinking I'm gonna do anything in it. As a fan, I just went completely, gravitated towards it. I'm like, this is. I'm gonna be well versed in this. I'm gonna dig in the crates. I'm gonna do the history of it. I want to know everything about this. I want to know about, and then I find, it's a culture. It's hip hop. And it was funny. Another skater told me I heard the term hip hop from another skater. Oh, shit. Let's not forget. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but
I'm 42.
Okay, well, I'm 50. So there might be a little difference in some of this like ideas, but back then people didn't say the words hip hop in music in hip hop. Like it wasn't cool to say hip hop. It wasn't until Naughty by Nature came out with the song Hip Hop Hooray.
Yep.
that it kind of was okay to say. But before that, saying hip hop, like you didn't say you were hip hop. That was kind of corny. You just were hip hop. You didn't say you were hip hop. Right? That was the idea. Yeah. That was the idea back then.
I agree with you on that one.
So I wasn't hearing hip hop, those terms that much. So I was hanging out at another skater's crib, and we were like jumping a ramp and stuff. And then he's like, yo, what kind of music you listen to? And I'm like, oh, I listen to this, and I'm telling him like some of the songs I listen to. And I go, what do you listen to? He goes, I listen to hip hop. I'm like, hip hop? And he's like, yeah, man, it's, and he's breaking it down. He's like, boom, boom, boom. And then then it just opens. It just, my mind blows, because now I'm like, this is not just music. Yeah, this is a whole culture behind the music, and I'm already living it. Like I'm already doing graffiti. I'm already breakdancing, because that was just the thing you did at that age in that time frame. I'm doing all the elements of hip hop. Of course, every kid was trying to rap too. Yeah, you were trying to throw your little verses together.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and that's when that's when like when that was introduced to me, and just the love I already started having for the music. It just opened up my worldview to what hip hop was and the power of hip hop and what it could be. And then as you go down a couple more years down the road, I start to I wanted to go to anything I could go to that had hip hop in it locally, which was far and few in between. But there was like this small community of hip hop heads back then, because that's what it was back then. I tell people being hip hop in like the late 80s, early 90s was like being a goth kid. Like in school, you knew the goth kids, and then you knew the hip hop kids were. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a small group of people that were actually hip hop heads. Hip hop hadn't blown up to be mainstream where everybody now could just listen to hip hop and be, say they're hip hop. No, back then you were actually the hip hop. You were hip hop heads. And so that's when I dove into it, and then I started like supporting everything I could locally, supporting local artists. And then eventually when I got to graduating high school, I was like, I wanna do this professionally. I don't know what. I was gravitating towards DJing, but I couldn't afford turntables. And but I knew, so I said, okay, eventually I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna be able to afford turntables. So I said I came up with the company Crazy Hood Productions, and then that's where like the whole idea 93, it went on from there.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because Crazy Hood Production is like such a staple in Miami hip hop. And so, but what inspired you to just start that right after high school? Like what was your vision behind it when it first started?
So I felt that the city was still unrepresented in hip hop. like across the board. You know, at that time, New York had the stronghold on hip hop industry and the culture, because there's, to me, those are two different things. There's the money making side of hip hop music mainly, and then there's the culture of hip hop, and they don't always, they clash often.
They clash. They don't always see eye to eye on it.
So, but at that time, New York was running both of those things, the culture side and the industry side.
Yeah.
And they didn't really have, you know, didn't really respect any other region. So that's why a lot of people outside of New York are very influenced by all the early New York stuff, because that's all that was really being pushed out. You know, of course, the West Coast was coming up and Atlanta and all that, but this is still, New York was still king at the time.
Yeah.
So I was always like, man, there's a chance to have an impact locally on the hip hop scene. Like, you know, if I was in New York, I probably wouldn't have said that. New York was way ahead of us already.
Yeah.
Well established.
Yeah. It seemed like everybody had to go to New York to try to get on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, but here locally, there's still a chance. So I was like, and I was, you know, I wasn't getting good grades in school. I wasn't about to go to college. Luckily for me, my mom worked at the local community college, which allowed me to go for free or reduced rates to go to college.
Okay.
To community college. So I went to college, and, you know, I actually didn't even finish that at first. I went back and finished it later. But I wasn't thinking in the framework of like, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna do. I was like, I don't know what I want to do, and to me, it's like I really got to be into something to want to like pursue it. So I knew I had a passion for hip hop. So I was like, I feel like there's something that could be done. I don't know what we could do, because it's not like we got money to invest in things, but what I had was a big crew around me that we was already hanging, and we all had the similar passions for hip hop. It was like 20 of us. So I had the numbers as far as a crew goes. So I was like, all right, you know, let's create this production company, because back then all the crews that were doing parties or doing anything in hip hop locally, they would have their name, and they would just add production at the end of it, because we were all teenagers trying to sound professional, or just trying to make it sound professional. So it's like whatever productions, you know.